Hi, good morning, even afternoon again. All right, I know we had some interruptions with our last stream, however long ago it was. And I wanted to make sure that we got a little bit of feedback for everyone. So, for those of you who sent pronunciation files, thank you. We're just going to kind of do like a rapid fire thing because I do have to leave soon, but I want to make sure again we get feedback for everybody. So, for those of you who sent files, we're going to load them up and I'm going to try to give feedback. Hopefully, the connection works better this time. And if it doesn't, sorry. Let's take a look at. I'm going to try to find our original file. I think it was this one.
We just came back.
It was not that one. Let's try this one.
We've got a code blue.
No. Try this one. If it's not this one, then we'll just use it.
Life moves pretty fast.
So one of the things that we talked about in the previous stream is that for this audio, my biggest recommendation is going to be trying to cut down on the number of stresses being used and see how that's going to allow you to incorporate more pitches. Because right now we just have so many stresses. Listen to this whole thing.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while.
So again, you'll stop and look around once in a while. Life moves pretty fast. So we just have so many stresses there. So my biggest recommendation would be cutting some of those out.
Life moves pretty fast.
So I said life moves pretty fast. Just life moves pretty fast. Life moves pretty fast. Just stressing fast, for instance.
You don't stop and look around once.
You can hear how overstressed some words are. For instance, like stop, you don't stop versus you don't stop. You don't stop. So when we're stressing words too, we don't need to raise the pitch too high because that might be a little bit too much for our listener.
Once in a while, you could miss it.
You could miss it. So you're stressing could. A lot of times modal verbs are not your stressed words. Instead, whatever comes after your modal verb is very often a stressed word. So like your base verb would miss. You could miss it. You could miss it. So those are going to be my big suggestions there.
You could miss it.
You could miss it versus you could miss it. You could miss it. Besides pitches and stresses, I think a lot of the things here are actually pretty solid. I don't hear a lot of like vowel sounds or consonant sounds that are causing issues.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while. You could miss it.
But again, just cutting off some of the stresses. You don't stop and look around once in a while. You don't stop and look around once in a while. Maybe just stressing around there instead of stop, around, and while. That could really help smooth that out. I know we looked at that file earlier, so I just wanted to kind of highlight some quick things there in terms of the rhythm. Let's take a look at another
plastic. It feels like that double layer plastic. I forget what they call it now. Injection molding, maybe.
Okay, I think the placement here is a little high. Let's kind of break in small parts.
It feels like plastic.
It's hard. I don't know if this is shadowing. Let's assume it's not shadowing. Let's assume that you're just saying this. Feels like plastic. Okay. Hello to Saba. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know if the connection seems bad to you or the audio is off. Please let me know. We're testing some things. Make sure it's better than last time. But thank you for stopping by.
It feels like plastic.
It feels like plastic. It feels like plastic. Like that's the way that you're kind of saying this. I would have expected it to be something like that. It feels like plastic, or it feels like plastic. Like I would expect one of those pitches as opposed to what we hear here.
Feels like plastic. It feels like that double. It feels like that.
It feels like that. I think this is an opportunity we can really extend our pitch range because right now it feels a little constricted.
It feels like that.
It feels like that. So there is movement down, but we could probably even expand it further. It feels like that. It feels like that. Compare my pitch range to the original.
It feels like that.
It feels like that. That's how they're saying it, what I'm hearing. Versus it feels like that. It's like, especially that can really drop lower.
Double.
Let me hear double again.
Layer plastic. That double.
Double versus double. Double. I do think your sound on double. I think it could be a little bit more open, just a little more air, because I feel like it's almost like double, versus
double, like that double,
double,
that double,
double,
that double,
double versus double, that double, that double. So it's a little more open on the sound there. Other things?
layer plastic. I forget what that double, layer plastic.
That middle word, I think it's layer, like that double layer plastic. It feels like that double layer plastic. So like if that's the phrase, like that double layer plastic where you're stressing double, what I would really recommend
Double layer plastic.
layer plastic. Again, the pitch is just so concentrated. It feels like that double layered plastic. It's like double layered plastic. So just maybe lowering the pitch a little bit more to continue adding contrast.
Layer plastic. I forget what they call it now. Injection molding, maybe.
Injection molding, maybe. Like injection molding, maybe. It feels like maybe's a little high.
Injection molding, maybe.
Maybe versus like maybe injection molding, maybe. Like injection molding, maybe. There's obviously a lot of ways to do that. That might be a good phrase to kind of put into Youglish, like maybe, trying to find examples of native speakers putting maybe at the end of a sentence. Because to me, this feels a little high or a little higher than what I would expect.
I forget what they call it now.
I forget what they call it now. Again, now, I just think a lot of these little phrases, we have opportunities with the pitch. You have movement, which is great, but we could even take some of those low pitches even a little further lower.
Layer plastic. I forget what they call it now.
Call it now, because we kind of get stuck there, right? Call it now versus call it now. I forget what they call it now. Just taking, again, the lower pitch a little bit lower to add more contrast. Just some things to think about there. Thank you for sending that file. Again, my apologies for the stream earlier today. Some of the technical things that we ran into. Finn is back. Good to see you, Finn. Questions. Can you say be able to instead of be able to? Be able to. You know, my initial reaction to this would be no. I would definitely, again, this is a phrase you could put into Youglish and kind of listen to what native speakers are doing. If you're looking just for some more samples beyond how I would say it myself, would you be able to? No, it's not ale. Be able to. Can you hear the difference between be able to, and be able to? So again, you need I think part of the issue is that if you do ale, you're going to be stuck at like a higher pitch. Whereas like if you add that B, it's going to help lower things like able to, or another common way to reduce that would be able to, would you be able to, yeah, I do think the B, even if it's really, really light, is going to sound slightly different than just saying be able. I mean, I guess if you do anything fast enough, I mean, lots of things are possible, but my initial reaction would be try to keep the B. What's Ayaz? Thank you, man. Thank you for stopping by. We're doing okay. Trying to make up for the stream from earlier. If you guys can, again, let me know if you can hear me okay and see me okay. Let me know if you hear any crackling or if you see any visual disconnection things. I tested everything and everything seemed to be working now, but you never know. So let's take a listen to this file. We're just kind of running through some audio files really quick that we didn't get to earlier. Our next one here.
Butterflies. A butterfly is a marvel. It begins as an ugly caterpillar and turns into a work of art.
Okay. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to just focus on this initial section because this audio is super, super long. So I appreciate your understanding with that. But there's plenty of great information just on these first 8 seconds. It says that they can hear well in the stream recovery. Yes, that is good to hear. We are happy about that. Fingers crossed it stays that way. So some things here I want to highlight.
Butterflies. A butterfly is a marvel.
Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to tell you is that your consonant sounds are really strong. If you're listening to this and you're like, the rhythm sounds very different than how Jeff talks, even for that first part.
Butterflies.
Even just that word, because I'm hearing butterflies versus butterflies. Butterflies. What am I doing differently? what I'm doing is I am lengthening the vowel sounds and I'm weakening the consonant sounds.
Butterflies.
Butterflies. So you can especially hear it on the fast D sound.
Butterflies.
Butter versus mine is butter. So the fast D sound, you don't actually even need to make contact with the top of your mouth. You just need to raise and lower the tongue very briefly. Butter, butter, butterflies.
Butterflies.
The other thing that you're going to notice too is that when I'm saying butterflies, the syllables all kind of flow into each other. Whereas for this audio here, we're hearing every single syllable that is not connected.
Butterflies.
Butterflies. Butterflies. Notice that my syllables again are much more blended.
Butterflies. A butterfly.
We can also play around with pitch too. So butterflies. Butterflies has 3 syllables. Our first syllable is the stress. That means that's going to be our highest pitch. All those other syllables are going to go down in pitch. Butterflies. Butterflies. So my first syllable is higher than yours, and my last syllable is lower than yours.
Butterflies.
Butterflies. Butterflies.
A butterfly is a marvel.
A butterfly is a marvel versus a butterfly is a marvel. A butterfly is a marvel. So it's the same thing we mentioned earlier. I'm using breath to get from vowel to vowel. I'm not letting the consonants be too strong.
Butterfly is a marvel.
I'm also using linking. So for instance, on is so is ends on that z sound. Is just a vowel. So when we have a word that ends on a consonant and the next word starts with a vowel, we're going to try to join that consonant onto that vowel. It's like is a butterfly is a marvel.
A butterfly is a marvel.
The other thing too is that again, marvel, like it's your syllables are again almost at the same pitch. Is a marvel versus is a marvel. Go lower on your second syllable. Vol. Marvel. Marvel. Butterfly is a marvel. Okay. Good to see you, Manuel. Let me know if the connection is still causing problems.
It begins as an ugly caterpillar and
It begins as an ugly caterpillar.
as an ugly caterpillar and turns into a work of art.
Okay, you have lots of little phrases here. A work of art. A work of art. These sorts of things are what I would call like a 3-word group. So you have in this case we have work, then we have preposition, then we have another noun. It's like work of art. Work of art. What tends to happen in these situations is you put some stress on the first word, you put heavier stress on the last word, and then your middle word is going to be weaker and typically at a lower pitch. Work of art begins as a work of art.
Ugly caterpillar and turns into a work of art.
Turns into a work of art. Turns into a work of art. Okay. I want to also pay attention to ugly caterpillar.
Caterpillar and turns into a. It begins as an ugly caterpillar.
Okay, 2 things. Ugly. Ugly starts with a schwa sound, so that sound like in was or fun. What we want to be careful of is to make sure it doesn't turn into like an sound. So it's not ugly. It's more ugly.
Begins as an ugly caterpillar.
Ugly caterpillar begins as an ugly caterpillar. Caterpillar.
It begins as an ugly caterpillar.
Caterpillar. So you're changing the stress. So you're stressing P, right? Caterpillar. Okay. But 2 things. Stress is actually going to be in your first syllable. So here the difference of what that's going to do is it's going to sound like caterpillar. The other big difference you're going to see there is so
begins as an ugly caterpillar.
Caterpillar. Caterpillar. So you're giving me an E sound, peel, but it's actually a short I sound. I'll be honest, if you see a consonant and then the letter I and then like 2, 3, 4 more consonants, well, then that letter I is almost always going to be an I sound. The letter I almost never makes an E sound. So it's not going to be peel here, okay? It's going to be pel. So we need to switch to a short I sound. And then what we also need to do is we need to use what's called a dark L.
It begins as an ugly caterpillar.
Caterpillar versus caterpillar. So notice that L sounds completely different, right? So what I'm doing is I'm taking the tip of my tongue, I'm actually lowering it. I'm raising the back of my tongue a little bit, and I'm getting pel. Since it peel, pel. all of these things that I'm talking about in terms of like fast D sounds, in terms of linking, in terms of vowel to vowel, everything comes back to one really important concept in American English, which is breath. My goal as a speaker in American English is I'm trying to make sure my breath can flow from one syllable to the next. Consonant sounds block the breath. Using higher placements and more closed off mouth positions, those block breath too. My goal is to keep things open through my throat and my body, use my diaphragm to make sure air can keep going. So that's the biggest difference between why I sound like I do and why your audio sounds like this.
Butterflies.
Butterflies.
A butterfly is a marvel.
A butterfly is a marvel.
It begins as an ugly caterpillar
It begins as an ugly caterpillar
and turns into a work of art.
and turns into a work of art. So pay attention to everything I mentioned there, and I think it will have a big impact on your sound. Thank you so much for sending the audio file. Again, sorry for the technical issues from earlier today. Emmanuel saying the connection is steady and the audio is good now. Yeah, I don't know why the connection is better now. I can't control that, but the audio on my computer was too close to my sound mixer, I think. So you were hearing that interference. Glad it's not doing that anymore. So you can always remind me in Mission English if you hear that happen again. Tell me, Jeff, move your computer away from your mixer. I'll try to remember that. Emmanuel, I gave you some tips for your audio file a little bit earlier. I think it was like I did Marcos's really quick, and I think I did yours. If you're looking for feedback, just to know. Is this the same one?
I have a
Oh my gosh.
dream, a song to sing, to help me come with anything. If you see the wonder of a fairy tale, you can take the future, even if you fail.
Oh, that was it's quite the ending there. I want to hear that last part again.
Even if you fail. Even if you fail. Even if you fail. Even if you fail.
Even if you fail, even if you fail. I do think your E sound could get just a little bit more E, like even if you fail, because I feel like I'm hearing even if you fail, even if you fail, even if you fail, even if you fail, just a little bit more E on that choke. It's hard with songs. I'm not a singer, guys. I can't give super great feedback for that. I just wanted to make sure we had time to hear everything there. I'll play back a little section to see if anything stands out.
I have a dream, a song to sing, to help me come with anything.
I really don't have a whole lot to say there. I think you're doing a great job with breath. When you're singing, it's so important to get enough air moving through your body, engaging your diaphragm and things like that. And I hear it. You can hear it on especially towards the ends of a lot of words, you're hearing the breath, continuing to flow. You can hear that resonance in the voice. And again, this is something that lower placements, more breath, a warmer, richer voice. These are things that are valid for male speakers of the language, but also for female speakers too. There are women who are afraid of, using a lower placement or engaging the diaphragm because they're like, I'm going to sound like a man. But the reality is that when you're speaking in American English, these are things that native speakers are doing. In general, women speaking in American English have a lower placement than women speaking other languages. So I think that all comes across very well here. Again, if I were more technically sound in singing, I'm sure I would have things for you. But in terms of breath and the vowel sounds and things like that, I think you're sounding pretty good there. Play this one.
We just came back from a nice walk outside. The weather is very nice. It's sunny and all that. But the streets are packed. I mean, the crowd's everywhere.
Okay. Sycamore, thank you for sending the audio file. My biggest suggestion, immediately I want to tell you is, can we get some more lower registers? You have a relatively low voice register, but you're kind of always using like a voice around this range, like when you're talking. Like it's like if I just always talk like this, but that means I'm cutting off like half. I'm like never using half of the range that I could. And I think that incorporating more of those lower pitches is going to have such a huge impact on your sound.
We just came back from a nice walk outside.
So, like for instance, for that, if I use the lower register for that, we just came back from a nice walk outside. We just came back from a nice walk outside.
We just came back from a nice walk outside.
We got a little flat there in the second half, like nice walk outside. Listen to that.
Came back from a nice walk outside.
Nice walk outside. Like everything there is the same pitch, right? Most likely, walk would be stressed, like a nice walk outside. A nice walk. We just came back from a nice walk outside. It's like I would really expect like walk outside to really start lowering in pitch a lot. Walk outside. We just came back from a nice walk outside. Something like that I think would really help a lot.
We just came back from a nice walk outside. The weather is very nice.
Weather's very nice. It's like
The weather is very nice.
the weather is very nice. So what's happening here is kind of like what we mentioned for Marcos's file. You're giving me two stressed syllables. I mean stressed syllables. You're giving me two stressed words. Weather
It's very nice. Weather is very nice. The weather is very nice.
So you're stressing weather and nice. Weather is very nice. Like I would just stress nice. Okay, it's like a nice walk outside. The weather is very nice. The weather is very nice. Something like that. I think would give you a more natural flow instead of stressing the weather is very nice, because now we're kind of stuck in those higher pitch registers, right? So I would take off the stress on weather, and again, see how that would fit with your thought groups.
We just came back from a nice walk outside.
So again, we just came back from a nice walk outside. So now, like we took that pitch, and now we're kind of low, right? We just came back from a nice walk outside. The weather is very nice. So notice that from outside to our next thought group, we're raising everything higher. Outside. The weather is very nice. The weather is very nice. So we're going to just lifting everything.
The weather is very nice.
You can hear how flat it got there on very nice. Weather is very nice versus very nice, very nice. So again, just incorporate more pitch ranges. Want to play that part back and see if there's any vowels or a consonant sound standing out?
We just came back from a nice walk outside.
When you're walk.
Came back from a nice walk outside.
Nice walk, nice walk. I do think for walk, you could open up a little bit more on that ah sound with the breath. Nice walk, nice walk. It's like ah, nice walk outside.
The weather is very nice. It's sunny and all that.
Okay, so we use some lower pitches here with the and that sounds very minor for a lot of people because it's like, oh, it's just filler words. It doesn't even mean anything. But it's helpful for adding contrast, like just adding that lower pitch, and it's really fast and weak. I like that a lot.
Weather is very nice. It's sunny and all that.
It's sunny and all that. It's sunny. For all that, you don't really need to stress that, it's sunny and all that. Like it's sunny and all that.
Sunny and all that.
It's sunny and all that versus it's sunny and all that. So I would go lower in pitch on the all that. I'll try to make that weaker.
But the streets are packed. I mean, the crowd's everywhere.
Okay. I think we could continue. I think you conveyed the emotion, but I think we could even do it more. Like the streets are packed, but the streets are packed. So another thing too, when we talk about contrast, is it's not just about pitch, but it's also about length of time, among other factors. And so, like, if you really want to make this sound like the streets are packed, you wouldn't just say the streets are packed. No, the streets are packed. Man, the streets are packed. It's like I'm holding the word longer. I'm also raising the pitch higher, and that's indicating to my listener that this is something I want to emphasize. So just a note there. The streets are packed. Man, the streets are packed.
But the streets are packed. I mean, the crowd's everywhere.
That final R sound is also a little soft. Everywhere versus everywhere. Just kind of watching out for that final R sound. Again, just some quick thoughts for you. If you have any questions about that, be sure to let me know. But thanks again for your patience with today's stream. Last two files. Take a listen to this one here.
Hi, everyone. It's Anne. Glad to be back with you today. I have to tell you about the two cardinals that are hanging out in our backyard. They are truly lovebirds. They feed each other seeds and then they kiss each other. It's wonderful to see. Have a great day.
Thanks to my mom for sending an audio file. Just want to highlight one thing.
They kiss each other. It's wonderful to see.
It's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see. Just that little pattern there.
It's wonderful to see. Have a great wonderful to see.
It's wonderful to see. So a little stress on wonderful and then more stress on see. It's like it's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see. Okay, so like it's almost like two thought group. It's wonderful. And what we do is we drag it out. It's wonderful. And then we're going to take things lower in pitch to see. Okay. So the reality is, so this is my mom. My mom has a higher pitched voice than a lot of the audio files we heard today, but she's going lower than a lot of my male students are. For instance, like Sycamore's file, she just went lower than.
They kiss each other. It's wonderful to see.
To see. She used a lower pitch on C than we just heard in the previous file. So something that we really need to start incorporating into our own speech is starting to incorporate more lower pitches. Because the reality is I have male speakers with low voice registers who are getting beaten by women who have higher pitch registers than them. You know, there's no reason for that to happen. Okay. It's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see. So just a nice little pitch pattern there that I wanted to highlight. Last file here, and then we'll call it a day. How about this one?
We've got a code blue. We've got to lock down all the exits now and get the guy on the ground level stairwell. I'm coming down.
Okay. Again, I think we're going to have some opportunity to play with pitches here to expand our range. This is interesting because some sounds to me are sounding kind of open in terms of airflow, and then some sounds are immediately closing off.
We've got a code blue.
It's like we've got a, I like that part.
We've got a code.
We've got a, that's really good. Really open, nice linking. Nice joining of like gotta, we've got a, I'm hearing breath, which is great. Sound very open.
We've got a code blue.
Blue is immediately closing off. We've got a code blue versus code blue. Listening to this,
we've got a code blue.
Blue, it sounds to me like your lips are pretty rounded, which is fine. You can do that for an oo sound, but the problem is that when a lot of people do that, they make it sound more like their first language. It's like ooh, ooh. A lot of languages are more frontal in terms of the placement for that. Whereas if you listen to native speakers, it's going to typically be a lower placement. Something that can help is actually using straight lips on that oo sound instead of ooh, ooh, more ooh, ooh, a little bit more open with the mouth to let more air pass through, and keep the placement low in the projection open, trying to really get air through your diaphragm. So say blue, blue, more blue, blue. Now that could be because of the oo sound, that could be because of the L sound, or it could be that combination of L plus oo. So just kind of watch out for that. One way you can check yourself is to do this progression. Do like oo, then add an L like loo, oo, loo, and then add the B. It's like oo, loo, blue. Oh, blue, blue, oh, blue, blue, oh, blue, blue, oh, blue, blue. You want your vowel to sound the same for all of those. If you notice that you're doing like oh, blue, blue, well, now you know your problem. Oh, I need to work on saying blue. I need to work on adding that B to that L sound to keep things open.
Blue, we've got to lock down all the blue. We've got to lock down all the exits.
I think you're saying we've got to lock down.
We've got to lock down.
We've got to lock down.
We've got a code blue. We've got to lock down.
One of the things that often happens, so we talked about blue, your placement's rising. It's kind of a tensor sound. And one of the other problems with this is that when it happens in a sentence, it is really hard when you're talking to go from a closed placement back to an open, lower placement. That's really hard to do. You could say the best sentence in the world, but once you get closed, it's really hard to switch back. So that's the other problem with that blue, because now this section here sounds a lot more closed off than when you started. Listen to how you start.
We've got a code blue.
It's like we've got a, that was really open. And then we said blue and now we're closed.
We've got to lock down all.
We've got to. So notice that your got to here is more closed off than before when you said gotta.
We've got to lock down all blue. We've got to lock down.
We've got versus we've got to. Okay.
Down all the exits now and get the guy in
We got to lock down all the exits. I would have stressed all, and you have an opportunity here to go way higher in pitch.
We've got to lock down all the exits now.
We've got to lock down all the exits. It's just so flat. Our stressed word, we need things to stand out. We've got to lock down all the exits now. You can also lengthen it too to drag it out. We've got to lock down all the exits now. Because what's happening is you're just staying in the same pitch register the entire time.
We've got a code blue.
We've got a code blue, so we're like in this range. It's medium range.
We've got to lock down all.
We've got to lock down. We've got a code blue. We've got to lock down. Everything's here. There's nothing going higher. There's nothing going lower. We've got a code blue. We've got to lock down all the exits. So like maybe take your first point. It's like we've got a code blue. Then take things a little lower. We've got to lock down. And then you can take it higher. All the exits. We've got code blue. We got to lock down all the exits. You know, just something like that is just going to add more contrast to your speech.
Down all the exits now and get
all the exits now. A lot of times adverbs of time are not stressed. Like, for instance, now, I probably would not stress.
to lock down all the exits now.
All the exits now. I would have just stressed all the exits now. Or if you need the now for emphasis, you could do like we gotta lock down all the exits now. Like treat it as like its own sentence. In that sort of situation, you could add some emphasis there. But in the way you're saying it right now, I'm not really sensing that break.
And get the guy in the ground level stairwell. I'm coming down. And get the guy in the ground level stairwell.
That part I'm a little confused on. Are you saying gun or are you saying ground?
And get the guy in the ground level stairwell now. And get the guy in the ground level stairwell. I'm coming down.
I'm coming down. I'm coming down. I would again maybe something like that.
Stairwell. I'm coming down.
Because again, we just the pitch levels are all staying the same. So my biggest suggestions again would be increasing the range of pitches there. That middle section I'm having some difficulty understanding.
Guy in the ground level stairwell.
So I'm hearing gun and ground level stairwell. That's what I'm hearing.
Guy in the ground level stairwell.
If that is true, if we are trying to say sound, watch out for that schwa. So like un. That might be a sound just continue watching out for. Make sure that schwas sound different than sounds. Like, can you say like hog with an versus hug with a schwa? It's like hog, hug, or like lock with an sound, lock versus luck with a schwa sound, lock, luck, and things like that. Just kind of something to be paying attention to. All right, guys, that kind of wraps up the audio files that I had from earlier today. Maybe I'll ask the question, can you say literally 3 times for practice purposes, for science, for research? Yeah, sure. Literally. That's how I would say that. Yeah. All right, guys, thanks again for bearing with me through our technical things that happened today. Hopefully you're able to get some value from this stream. We'll be back next Saturday. We might do a stream or it might be on a different day or something because we have to do some traveling. I will keep you guys posted as we get closer to that time. But thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you guys have a good day, have a good night, and a good afternoon. You guys take care. Bye.